Hi, everyone. This is Glenn Migliozzi of the Finance Division, and I was asked by the Cutler Center to put together a couple of videos on Bloomberg. And these are the Bloomberg terminals that are in the Cutler Center, which, in my opinion, is one of the best fintech tools out there. And as far as having data and pricing, also having analytics, having the ability to bolt on other technologies or to download information into Excel and sort with lots of different tools. The Bloomberg Terminal is an incredible tool to have in your analysis. You'll need to have a logon in order to access Bloomberg. And if you have any problems, the folks at the Cutler Center are amazing with their team and assistants on staff to get you up and running on Bloomberg. At the end, I'll show you some thoughts about helping you understand Bloomberg by using the Bloomberg Market Concepts module in the Bloomberg for Education. And I'll do a separate video on that. But first things first, the whole world revolves around the equity markets, right? And that's what everybody wants to talk about. And the wonderful thing about Bloomberg is that it's just not a fixed income trading tool or just for bond geeks. It could be for anyone looking for knowledge, analysis, pricing, various different portfolio management tools. The page I always like to have open when I could have multiple screens is the one called WEI. And I happen to know that that's the command to pull this up, WEI, where it says World Equity Indices. And I hit enter and it populates a page showing me the trading price. If I didn't know what the commands are, and we'll have a place on the website where there are some easy commands that you could have handy if you're working, say, in, I don't know, credit analysis. It could be equity analysis. It could be equity credit derivatives, whatever it may be. There's some of the tools that we could use. But if I didn't, once I start typing in world, look at that, son of a gun. I didn't even have to type world equity indices. I just started to type world, and look at that right at the top. I'm able to click on it and get my world equity prices. If I was interested in how they were, trading in the day, you always need to load the security or the index into Bloomberg, and then we could have some fun with it. So if we were to click on the Dow Jones, and we were to want to know where the high or where the low was, if we were to hit DES or the description page, once it's loaded in there, it'll share with us information about what's in the Dow Jones Industrial Average. It'll give us a little information here, about who are the folks who have trusts, ETFs, and so forth, which track the various different indices and so forth. So I always like, anytime I pull up a security, I hit DES, I'd be able to know what the description of the security is, whether it's an index, whether it's a stock, whether it's a bond. And while we're here, we always like to know how something has performed. And it's always nice to have a graph. So if we hit GP, where we're looking to graph a security, the wonderful news about Bloomberg, it'll show us, right? We could track to see how the S&P 500 has done. And this is over the last year. If I wanted to know over the last 5 years, right, you'll see this is a common thread on Bloomberg. They have all the data, and we can go back and be looking at it and analyzing it and changing it and massaging the data. If we were really wanted to put it under a microscope and we wanted to know what the price was during the day, we hit GIP, which is intraday price chart. And look at that. It'll show us what the price of the index has been for the this period. So I don't want to spend a ton of time on this particular indices, but we have data that's live or maybe a little lagged that will help us understand different securities. And we could take them and we could analyze the differences between them. You know, one is yielding higher, one is yielding lower. We could do a whole bunch of that. I initially started off with stocks, but if we wanted to talk about bonds, I'm going to type world, and I want to know the world bond markets. Look at that. We get a nice slice of, typically it'll show the default. And that's another thing with Bloomberg. It'll have defaults which are regularly used, or they feel it's used. I can compare all the 5-year. I have to hit enter and it'll refresh the screen and it'll show me what the securities are, the outstanding on the run, most liquid instruments in the United States, Canada, Brazil, and it'll show what their yields are. And this is really neat for a snapshot if I wanted to know where world interest rates are, where they were, how they've been changing. I think it's just an incredible tool, a snapshot to know where we are. And we're able to take a lot of this data, live data feeds, and put them in Excel spreadsheets. So when we're doing analysis, we could be using real prices. So I think that's fantastic. I just want to switch from pulling up securities to showing how Bloomberg is an incredible tool for getting us information. And yeah, I read the Wall Street Journal. Yeah, I read the Financial Times. Isn't it great having an aggregator of different feeds for stories that we care about? So this would be, what are the top stories that users are using on Bloomberg? What are featured stories, opinions, finance, eco, government, deals, sports, that I think are incredible. If I wanted to narrow it down to just maybe, I don't know, bonds. Yes, I'm boring. It would have what are the top features, sorting it by bonds. If I was interested in Apple stock or stories on Apple, I'd be able to sort this. I know this is like the internet. What I really like is when I go to this page, it's kind of letting me know what are people pulling up. So at least I know what the competition's reading. These are stories. I can click on them. They're free. And it's a great aggregator of the different feeds of information. If I'm interested in knowing what are market moving economic events, I know what the code is ECO, but if I didn't know and I wanted to know what the economic calendar is, look, I just start typing and Bloomberg immediately populates for me economic calendars. So I could click on that and it'll show me this is a snapshot today, and I can go back, which is really helpful, or I can go forward to see what are upcoming economic releases, whether it be from the OMB, whether it be from the Commerce Department, Chicago Manufacturing. It's irrelevant what it is. It's just data from so many different sources that I could see which way interest rates, the stock market, or what could be driving the direction of lots of different indicators. Is the Fed going to raise rates or not? So I love this as a great resource of what all the economic data is, and it shows what the survey is. And if I were to click on any one of these, it would say, this is the survey by, say, 30 economists. As we could see, boy, they get that one wrong. And boy, they got a lot of these wrong. Normally, they're pretty good. And in this particular case, if the survey is saying that sales are going to be positive and they come in negative, my guess is that we would see a situation where folks are guessing that the economy maybe is slowing down. One number doesn't drive it, but a snapshot in the day of new information, we probably would see interest rates maybe lower. And on Bloomberg, we could go right into fixed income trading. It's called PX1, or I could type fixed income trading, and it'll show us all the actively traded Treasury bills, the on the runs, what their discount is. I'm not going to go over discount. What I care about is always what the yield is as opposed to the discount. And this is also showing the yield to maturity of all of the different treasuries that are outstanding. And what I love about Bloomberg is it shows us what the 2-year on the run treasury is, meaning this is the 4.25 due Jan 2026. It's the 2-year Treasury, and it shows us what the price is, right? It's bid at 99-13. In bond world, they don't use decimals. What do they use? 30 seconds. You have to be joking me. No. So the price that they would buy the bond from you, this is the bid, and this is the ask side, is 99 and 30 seconds. Really? Yeah. But we could pull it up and look at what that means. So if we click on the security, we know we've loaded it if it shows up here. Once it's up here, we're able to use a whole bunch of related functions to look at what the security value is, what the yield is, what the duration is of the bond, right? The interest rate sensitivity, how convex or how this bond will perform its price when interest rates move significantly. So if I go in here and hit DES or the description page, it'll just say, hey, here's the Treasury. It was issued not that long ago, right? Today is February 15th. It tells you what the coupon is, how it pays semi-annual. So this is just an incredible description of the security. How many were issued? What is that? 59 billion. And, it just tells us when the coupons are paid, right? Semi-annual, SA, semi-annual. So this coupon of 4 1/4 gets paid every January 31st and every July 31st. If I'm interested in learning more about this price or what the yield is, I'm able to I just start typing yield, and I say, look at that nice page, YAS, yield and spread analysis. I would pull that up, and lo and behold, I see here's the Treasury, here's the price. Remember, we said this is 30 seconds, so this is $99.12. I love this, 12.875, 30 seconds, which if we come over here, that would be what, say, a little over 40 cents. Isn't that wonderful? This is fixed income. How lovely. We want to see how the price is or how the price of the security has been. It hasn't been around that long. So if we were to hit GP to see what let me just show you the yield. This bond is yielding 4.57. That's the yield to maturity. It's also known as the street convention. And a lot of folks would say, well, what is that? Is that an annual equivalent? Is that a true yield? What is it? It's the yield which Wall Street will quote and trade a bond. Their convention's a little different. It's almost like a different language, fixed income geeks, and they'll keep it that way. Let me just point out one thing to show you how wonderful and lovely Bloomberg is. It's saying that the yield to maturity is 4.57. And that's its true yield, and slightly different. And someone would say, why is that different? Bloomberg at true yield takes into account if a coupon payment is on a Saturday and you don't get the money till Monday, it'll be reflected in the true yield. If the bond matures on a Saturday or on a Sunday and the first business day is a Monday and there's no bank transactions, you're out 2 days. So what the true yield does is it effectively captures the true yield reflecting when you actually have access to the money. Here's a lot more particulars here, which I'm not going to spend a heck of a lot of time on. This is showing the modified duration of the bond, what the convexity is of the bond. These are measurements of the interest rate volatility of the bond, right? If it's a 2-year bond, it has a duration of 1.8. If it were a 10-year bond, it would have a duration of, say, 9 years. And this is a measurement, the first measurement, which is a linear relationship of the price of a bond with regard to changes in the yield. So we know that if the yield on the bond, right now the price is a little less than 99.5, if just say interest rates were to fall by 20 basis points, so instead of 4.57, I made it 4.37, we'd see the price of the bond would go up, right? It's gone up, I don't know, about 30 cents or so forth. Also notice the duration extended just a little on us, but we're not going to spend a heck of a lot of time on that right now. But it's just a good way for you to know what the how the change in a price will be. And down here, we put what our face value is. So if I were to buy $1 million, let's go back to what the price really is. If I were to buy face of $1 million, Glenn, that looks like 1,000. Roman numeral M is 1,000. 1,000 would be $1 million. And if the price is just, less than 99.5, we see this is the price we'd pay. And it also computes for us the accrued interest. What's so neat about a bond is that when we purchase a bond, what attaches to the bond is the accrued interest. What would be the accrued interest? Well, it would be the coupon times our face value times 16 days divided by 365. What's that? It's taking into account that we've held this bond that pays the entire coupon over a year, but we only held it for 16 days. And this shows us the pro rata amount of interest we would get, even though it's not going to be paid for 164 days or 165 more days, that attached to the bond. So there is accrued interest on a bond. Let me just show one more item that's really regard to, say, fixed income. In my next video, I want to spend a lot more time showing how Bloomberg is so very relevant if we're even going to do equity analysis of a company. Let me pull up a bond of a company called Air Products and Chemicals. If I didn't know what the ticker was for Air Products, I just typed Air, and then it serves up a whole bunch of different choices for me here. I have Air Products and Chemicals. There's a bond. That's the bond I'm going to pull up. But if I didn't know what bond I really wanted for Air Products, I just pull up the ticker, and it says U.S. equity. And if you're in the Cutler Center, you'll see that the different keys, F2 is government, F3 is corporate, F8, the different keys at top, the yellow, the orange, and the green, will come very much into play in your analysis. That is why I highly recommend everyone who's interested to sign up for the Bloomberg Market Concepts, which will spend much more detailed analysis way into how best to use the terminal and an intro to it and some of the more advanced skills. But here I'm going to pull up Air Products and Chemicals, the ticker for it. And right now it's saying you have Air Products and Chemicals in here. Wow, the stock is up nice today. And if I just wanted to know who Air Products and Chemicals were, I could hit the description. It'll give me a financial analysis tool. I'll love this. This is very similar to the analysis that you may get from CapIQ or FactSet. This is showing the balance sheet, the income statement, the ratio analysis, and all of this we could download to Excel and to our projections and analysis. It'll have company financials, a line chart of the price. It'll show just their derivatives. It could show their credit default swap page. So this is a very, very powerful kind of tool right now where we're sitting here and it's saying, you have this company stock. What do you want to know about it? So if I were just to hit DES or the description page, it says, hey, here's your company. It's located in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Here's the employees. Here's the managers. It's just one page after another. I can click on this, see what the background is of the chairman, the CFO. I could find out their compensation. I could find out their stock options. Very relevant. If I'm analyzing a company, I want to know if the folks running the company own a lot of equity stock in the company and hence would really not want to blow it up versus some companies which have folks who are running the company who would just have stock options or a lion's share or just stock options, which would only have value if the stock price were to go up significantly. If it were to go down, right, the options expire worthless. So this is just what I consider to be a wonderful tool to find a lot of the neat things about this. Here's just some of the, basic equity price earnings. I want to know the dividend and so forth. What I'm always interested in is if I'm going to analyze this company, I want to know all the upcoming dates. So I hit EVT, which would be the company events. Lo and behold, I find out that I know when the stock is trading ex-dividend. I know on 2/24, they're going to do their earnings, We get to see what the estimate is. I get to see all their different presentations coming up, which I think is very, very valuable tool to have. If I wanted to know, how Air Products and Chemicals, their stock has performed to other companies, I'm able to go in here and look at how the stock has performed versus other chemical companies versus the S&P 500. I could be looking at their bonds. There's so many different items that I could be looking for. One thing I just wanted to pull up to just kind of pull together in this first little short video here is lots of times we look at an annual report and we look at the assets, the liabilities, and so forth. Before I invest in a company, I always want to know when their debt is due, meaning the debt distribution. So it's very powerful on Bloomberg. And once again, it's not rocket science. All it is, if I want to know their debt distribution, I start typing it and it's DDIS, debt distribution. And what this shows me is all the debt that Air Products and Chemical has. But the ability to focus in on these is amazing because it'll tell me the bonds that are due, that I can click on them and find the coupons, the covenants. I could find out if they're callable, whatever it could be. All these blue bars here are their debt distribution. And it looks like it's a company that has a fair amount of debt, but they have it pushed out over time. If I was calculating, say, the WACC of Air Products and Chemicals, look at this. I have the weighted average fixed coupon of it at 3.08. I could also do a sort and figure out what its weighted average yield to maturity is, right? A market-related interest rate that we use. But if I were to go through here, I'm noticing blue is the debt, green are the loans outstanding. So if I was to click on this, it has just loaded me and it says, hey, it looks like a 2.75 billion. And if I hit DES on it, description, it's saying that this is a revolver that they have outstanding. It's a bank revolver, a 2.7 billion revolver. Boy, that gives me a lot of comfort as an investor that they have a committed bank facility to Mizuho and a whole bunch of other parties, right? If we go down here, we could look at the document, what the covenants are, who's in the revolver, how long it goes out. It's good till 3/31/2026. And most companies have these facilities. What I love about Air Products and Chemicals, and it's telling me right up front, is if it's green, it's undrawn. Red means this is a loan facility, a committed, revolving, that's fully drawn, right, if it's red. So once again, I just wanted to provide, just kind of as you look at the Bloomberg Terminal, not just as a fixed income instrument, or a tool for analyzing fixed income, but even if I'm analyzing equity, or if I want to work for a company, I could look at so many different aspects of a company, real simple. And we've done this, in the last 20 minutes of just going over and just doing a very, very quick kind of overview of what the Bloomberg tool could do. I'm going to stop here because I'm almost at 25 minutes, and I'll have a series more of these to familiarize yourself with Bloomberg. But at the end of the day, I just want to get everyone familiar and excited about the Bloomberg terminals and how it's an incredibly powerful tool for learning, for analysis, for my goodness gracious, even looking for jobs. And I'll end on that. If I hit JOBS, look at that. Bloomberg is a place where folks list that either looking for a job or someone's looking to hire. Boy, on that note, I may spend more time on Bloomberg. Thank you.